This is Matthew McConaughey.
Natalie Portman.
James Patterson.
Michael Ian Black.
And you are listening to
Five Questions
with Dan
Schawbel.
Bobby, welcome to Five Questions.
Thank you for having me.
So your memoir talks about your life transformation. I'd love for you to talk about, being born Sir Robert Bryson Hall II and that transformation to Bobby Hall and Logic.
Well, yeah, 1990, born into two addicts' lives, my mother and my father. My father addicted to crack cocaine, among many other things. My mother an alcoholic and addicted to pills and religious. It really definitely shaped, I think, my life and how I perceived the world around me, because my world was not outside the four walls of my house, not really anyway. And I think as I got older, not having a father really ever there, and the only time he was there, he wasn't necessarily setting the best example. I did the best that I could to escape that world in a positive way through creativity, anime, film, video games, just trying to be a normal kid. And in many ways, I had a great childhood that was also kind of like mirrored and reflected from this Stranger Things upside down world of that was actually the reality that I was living in. And as I got older, it was poetry and music that I found the best escape in, because I could actually take my emotions and feelings and either A, write about the things that I was actually going through, or B, just pretend to be the coolest rapper in the world. And, I got private jets. I'm like 15. I don't even know. I'm on food stamps. That's what I got. Right. But I think then continuing and realizing that the lack of love and appreciation and support that I was getting from or wasn't getting from my family, the more I put into my craft, the more I received. And I saw myself getting better day by day, better with, similes and writing and wordplay and structuring and rhythm of words and all these beautiful, amazing things. The more I put in it, the more I slowly became Logic, the musician. So there it is.
No, I actually love that and really relate to everything you just said. Not because I've experienced the same trauma. I was, bullied growing up, and I used blogging and writing as a way to escape. And I reallocated the time I spent trying to get along with people who weren't trying to get along with me to writing and writing and writing and writing nights, weekends, during lunch hours while I had a full-time job. So,
wow,
it is really ironic that, like, even though you experience so much pain, you can also redirect that time and find something else and invest the necessary effort to be able to build something. And so I that seems like you've experienced that as well, but maybe at a bigger degree because you went through a different degree of trauma.
Yeah, but I still think problems are problems, right? It's not a competition. You know what I mean? Whatever you went through affected you. In the end, I think in a positive way, right? But I mean, even in that moment, people can make other people feel small, and I've definitely felt small. And so, yeah, but I think my big thing is, like, it's not a competition, man. We both been through some shit, and you deserve to be where you are, and you're stronger because of it. And it's really cool that we can relate on that level. And I think also that's why I think people may like us. At least I hope they do. Because they feel like, oh wow, here's just people who have gone through what I've gone through, regardless of to what degree.
Yeah, it's definitely the human element. And like I was saying, one of the similarities I've noticed in my interviews, and I've interviewed over 2,700 people over 14 years, is someone's weakness can actually be disguised as a strength. So there are silver linings that come from pain. I think that if I didn't experience the trauma I did growing up, I wouldn't be as successful today. At least that's what I tell myself. How do you think your mental health struggles have been a driver for your success?
Oh man, that is an amazing question. It's funny because so I used to not have anxiety. I had anxiety like your average person had it. I had some crazy panic attack when I was like 13, which I talk about in the book. But for the most part, it was kind of your average run-of-the-mill anxiety. if you're in a stressful situation, you may get a little shaky and your heart races or whatever. You know, later in my life, I mean, I'm 31, but you know, when in my late 20s and stuff, when I really started to have insane bouts of anxiety, and mid 20s, I did it to myself. So it's a weird thing. I was extremely unhealthy my whole life, right? And when I actually first made a little bit of money, when I signed my record deal with Def Jam in 2012, I had like $175,000. So it's like, here's this kid from food stamps, welfare, has nothing, sleeping in his best friend's basement. And one day he has $175,000. So I'm like, oh shit, I'm rich. We made it. You know, I'm like, this is amazing. I can't believe it. First thing I got was Taco Bell. I bought some of my homies, you know, gifts and things, and, you know, just for being there for me. And it was amazing, but I had to grind. And I used that $100,000+ to pay for touring and merchandise and doing all these things on my own. There was a time when I was doing 2-3 tours a year, and some of those tours were 45 dates in like 56 days, like the most, and I just go and go and going. And so I don't know about nutrition. And I mean, there's times where I'm like literally like throwing up before shows. I feel like I'm going to pass out. I was a $110 soaking wet. I mean, just emaciated, just completely unhealthy, drinking Ensures and eating Pop-Tarts because it's the only thing I could seem to get down, chain smoking cigarettes because when I was 13, my mother let me smoke with her. I don't know why, because I guess it probably enabled her own addiction and whatever. So that was probably the only thing we ever really bonded over. But so with all that being said, that way of life started to destroy my mental state. And I really believe there's like this symbionce between the body and the mind, for sure. And so I never exercised. I never did anything like that. And I had like a breaking point in 2015, crazy kind of almost mental breakdown internally. Changed some habits for sure. Quit smoking cigarettes. But I was still just not dealing with the real things inside. And I'll say this to answer your question. Sorry for the long-winded answer. But after that breaking point mentally in 2015, I decided in 2018 to completely change everything. I mean, exercise, my diet, everything. And the physical difference had such a beautiful impact on my mind. However, all the years of not just physical, but mental exhaustion was still building up, no matter the fact that my body was healthier, that I was this, I was that. Because then I went from having this realization to also having like the biggest song in the world with the song 1-800, which was amazing. And it was funny because in so many ways, it was almost like I was this one-hit wonder, but I wasn't. Well, I mean, I had some hits after that for sure. But I'm saying when I first came out, that's like, oh, it's the Suicide Guy. Like, wow, this is crazy. Look at this amazing song. But dude, I've been putting in work for 10+ years, had platinum records before then, selling out, you know, almost 10,000 seat spots, all this other stuff. But it all boiled down to like this moment, and it was go, go, go. And it was people in my ear like, you may never have this opportunity again. You got to grind. You got to this. And these people are also in my pocket. So if I get paid, they get paid. And I don't want to let people down. And I don't want to this and da, 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 da. And then I just hit this insane breaking point. Again, I actually broke down on a stage in Pittsburgh in tears. And I was so exhausted. I was so scared. I was scared I would do something I didn't want to do. You know what I mean? In a way, like whether it was take my own life or this or that, but it wasn't that I was necessarily suicidal. I was so scared I could mentally crack. I felt like, you know, when they say like, when people say, oh, they were driven insane, I was doing like 150 miles on the 101, driving myself insane. And I had to stop. And it's funny because I say this on stage and then everybody on the internet makes fun of me and tells me I need to have tougher skin and this is what you signed up for. But it's like, no, I didn't sign up for being berated constantly or being told that I'm not real or my come up is fake or I'm fraudulent or I'm this or I'm that or all the other stuff that you can experience in the rap world, let alone media. And that height of anxiety taught me how to say no. And that is what changed my life. That is how mental health has changed my life. No, nope, no, I'm not going to do it. Like I want to be here today. I want to do this. I have turned down a lot of stuff, man. I turned down introducing Obama at this like convention. And it would have been amazing. Who doesn't want to meet Obama and shake his hand? I wasn't prepared to do so. And my wife was pregnant and I didn't want to leave her, and XYZ and all this other stuff. Learning to say no, and the experience that I've had with my own mental health issues led me to that realization. I'm not perfect. I still go through stuff every day. I'm still learning lessons every day. But the biggest lesson I learned was value over fear. So do things because you want to, not because of the fear of, oh, well, I don't want to go on tour and kill myself on stage, but the money's good. No, what do I value? I value my time to recuperate more than just going to try to get a bunch of money. No. So that's how it's helped me.
Yeah, what I tell a lot of people is say yes a lot, especially when you're first starting out, for the privilege to say no later. And I think people need to recognize that the more successful you are, it's not like you're going to get fewer emails. It's not like you're going to get fewer opportunities. Actually, the new challenge is how do you filter through all of those opportunities to select the right one? And you definitely experience this. So if so many other people is people want you to keep replicating that success. Like you were saying, like you're feeding, managers, you're feeding all these individuals and they're counting on you to make a living. And so that's where it gets even more complicated because it's that pressure to constantly deliver. When's the next single going to come out? Is it going to get as many, Spotify streams and downloads? And so that there's success makes for more stress and anxiety, right? But like you also, this part of you that are like, I don't know if you experience this as well. Like there's a curiosity, like, oh, I did this. So maybe if I do that, then this might happen. So like, you don't know how that's going to play out. But what I think is even more fascinating about you is you're 31. So I'm older than you. And
wait, you're older. How old are you?
I'm 37, 38 soon.
You look fantastic. You look amazing.
Thank you. So it's genes, eating right. It's a lot of the stuff that you were talking about. But I also believe that if you have healthy habits earlier in your life, it's easier to maintain them. If you're trying if once you turn like 80 or like 60 and you're trying to change habits, you're not, because you're like so stuck in your ways at that point. So I think that you're really on the right track. And so what's interesting about you is that, you at least briefly retired from music to focus on being a father. So I think that's pretty bold, especially in terms of your career projection and trajectory of where you were going.
Probably the shortest retirement, by the way, of all time. It was like 11 months.
But to even do that, when you're doing so well, like how did that change how you're going to work and live in the future?
So it's funny because this book was completed while I was retired. So I talk about the reasons of why I retired and what I wanted to do. And I think even now that I've like come back to music as well, it's different. I think I retired the old version of myself. I retired the mentality I had before, which is kind of what we were talking about, the value over fear, why to say no, what to do. Like even the kind of music, like I'm not trying to make big hit, smash hit records. And honestly, it's because I'm over the hamster wheel. I don't want to go. I mean, I've accomplished, and I don't mean to sound extra, but I've accomplished basically everything you can accomplish as a musician, financially, as far as like I sold out Madison Square Garden. I can't believe that. It's insane to me. Sinatra played there, like that's amazing. I've done all these things. I basically have everything but a Grammy. And what is that but like a really nice pat on the back anyway? And from who and for what? But for me, it just allowed me to realize what matters most. And what matters most is family. And, I never really had a family. And I think in many ways, my entire life's goal has been to almost have the family that I never did. And having my boy and him being named Little Bobby is very important and very special to me. But now it's all about passion. So like I'm writing this crazy film right now that I'm going to fund myself and make it. And it's going to be crazy, and it's not just going to be like some whatever, like it's like a legit film. And I've been getting into acting, and I'm on this new show with Joseph Gordon-Levitt for, sorry, I keep adjusting myself, for Apple TV called Mr. Corman. And he really gave me an amazing opportunity, and it has introduced me as an actor as well. I think I spent my entire career trying to prove people wrong, or give them reasons why I do deserve to be this, or I do deserve to be that, or I can this, because that's what it really is, especially in can you go handle that? Sorry, my dog is barking. I apologize. And can we make sure we shut this door? I'm very sorry. What the hell was I saying? Oh, proving people wrong. I apologize. I think that's what it was. Oh, you'll never have fans. I get some fans. You'll never put out a mixtape. I put out a mixtape. You'll never go on tour. You'll never do an album. You'll never be successful. You'll never get a Grammy. I still don't have that. What does it matter? And I think having the realization to know, like, a lot of my career was kind of from a chip on my shoulder, trying to prove that I am worth it. I am worth it. Now I realize I've always been worth it. I never had to shout or scream that I'm worth it. I only need to know my self-worth. And now that I know that, I am literally only focused on doing things that I love, because just like you said, saying yes a lot early on allows me to say no to certain things, or say yes to things that have always been deep in my heart that I was too scared to try before. And now when it comes to film, and I mean, me being able to write this and star in this, and it's really fun. It's like, I don't give a damn what it does. I'm fine financially. I could care less. I just want to make a movie with people I love. So, and mainly spend time with my son and my wife. And so that's where I am right now. All of that has led me to be more family oriented, and make decisions truly based on the child that is inside me. Like, really, the 6-year-old kid who has all these dreams and ambitions, and go, hey, little man, like, what do you care about the most? And that's making films.
Yeah, and of course, there's pressure in any project that you will do, especially because your name is linked to it. So they expect it to be a certain way. So there is some pressure still. But what's good about your situation now is you're more selective. You're like, even if the critics don't like this movie or any other, or this book, let's say, even though your last book did extremely well, your novel, maybe that doesn't matter as much to you anymore, because you've grown so much over the past, several years.
I think it's about, well, first of all, you just said that so beautifully. Thank you. I think it's about kind of coming to terms, like, no matter who we are, we want to be loved. And I don't even say that as artists and creatives, like just human beings. Like, if you walk outside and you're wearing a shirt and you really like that shirt, and someone goes, it's ugly, you know what I mean? Like, you're still like, ow, like, I wrote a book, called Supermarket, and people said it sucked, and other people said that they really loved it. And the people who said I was a terrible writer or this or that, I just had to come to terms with that. Like, that's their opinion. I mean, Alan Watts said, anything you can be interested in, you will find others who are. I merely wrote that book first and foremost because I was literally going through a mental breakdown, which I explained in Pittsburgh. I decided to take all these frustrations, all the things that I was going through, and heal myself in my art, rather than drugs or turn to needles and pain or death. And I did that. And if somebody wants to say that that's not good enough, well, it doesn't really matter, because I didn't really write it for anybody but myself to first and foremost heal. And then second, kind of have fun with the story. And then third, hopefully somebody could actually see the underlying message in the book that in regards of mental health and making your way out of it. At the end of the day, opinions really are just opinions, but it's different. It's like Ernest Cline. He wrote a novel. Well, he's written a few, but called Ready Player One. It's one of my favorite books in the world. Went on to be this amazing movie that Spielberg did. And, if he said my book was shit, I probably wouldn't have been, I would have been really bummed out. But guess what? He said he loved it. So it's like,
there you go.
That's all that matters. It's the people you care about their value, but also in turn, whatever critiques there were, even from friends, I didn't go, screw you guys. Like, I was like, all right, let me really think about this. I think there's a difference between, wow, well, the way you kind of wrote this here, or the way the author said this about XYZ, it makes me go, oh, okay. Wow, that's a good critique. And then there's like the internet comment section of like, this shit ass, bruh. Like, that is irrelevant to me. Yeah.
Yeah, as a fellow author, I will say, like, I think I've learned to, over the past 10 years, just appreciate the fact that people even read and acknowledge it. I mean, think about, there's over 1 million books published every year. 90% of books, sell fewer than like 2,000 copies. So for people to even read it is like a blessing at this point, if you want to put that in perspective. And I really want to talk about, I know you talk a lot about kindness. I actually, when I think about people now, in terms of relationships, in terms of friendships, in terms of business associates, that's the word that is most important. That's like the deal breaker. So what does kindness mean to you?
It's funny that you say that, especially in regards to even a working relationship. Um, Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones have this video of them, and I think they're in the studio together, but they're sitting in chairs and they're having a conversation about how there is a language between a producer and an artist. There's no such thing as bad, not good, horrible. Like those, how could you say that to an artist who's actually in the middle of creating something? Which is funny because just a tangent and a small side story. It's like my last album, No Pressure, somehow hackers had gotten a bunch of the songs and then released that. I mean, imagine somebody coming into your home and taking the thing that is most precious to you and then just spewing it on the internet. Not literally. I mean, I don't know how the hell they got the files. But then you can have people on the internet going, oh, this is going to be the album. Like, this sucks. Like, this is horrible. Or other people being like, hey, I really like this. Or other, and it's like, bro, you guys aren't, you should not be in the studio with me right now. And to be in the middle of something that you think is really special, and to hear all these comments about what could be better, or what could be this, or whatever the case may be, and you didn't even get to truly complete your thought, is a very difficult thing. So that was something and then it came out and everybody loved it, which is cool. But well, not everybody, but a lot of people, and it made me very happy that I stuck to my guns on certain things that they could have said. So I just use that as an example to say that was the one time people actually were in the studio with the artist while he was creating in a way. So me and my producer Six, yeah, like if he does something that I think could be better, I look him in the face and I say, dude, I think this could be better. Like, what if we do? I love it, but I think it could be better. There is a language. And I think that is all summed up in kindness, honestly. And that whether it's a producer and an artist in a studio having a conversation, or it's two human beings talking about life, fashion, interests, whatever, any passion that they may have, kindness is so important. And once again, I really believe like we are all children. And I always say we're just like 5-year-old kids with nuclear codes. Like that's a real thing, dude. Like what really is the difference? I think, yeah, we grow and we become more stubborn, and many of us can harden and be mean. And that can also affect others and how they project themselves, or maybe they don't want to put themselves out there that much because they're scared that they'll be utterly torn down. But nobody's going to look a little 5-6-year-old kid, unless you're like a real piece of shit, in the face and tell them that you do not draw the sky orange. You do not paint it orange. You don't, like, of course they do. They're a child. They have imagination. So I think kindness is very important when going out, and just in general, man. It's like, what is that? What is that saying? It's like it takes more muscles to frown than smile. Like that's a real thing, dude. Like I don't know why people would go out of their way to be like douches.
I think kindness is even more important now because we live in, you could say, an unkind world. Like it's a very harsh realities with a lot of the big issues we're facing as a society and global culture, that being kind actually makes you stand out, and people want to work repeatedly with kind people. So if you want a long-term career, long-term relationships, kindness is the cornerstone to that, right? That's like part of the glue that keeps any person together with another person, right? And what's your best piece of career advice?
Best piece of career advice is if you are not insane, don't do it. Yeah, I think you have to be crazy to follow your passion. You have to be crazy to truly follow the thing that burns inside of you. Um, and that could be anything, right? You know, but it's just like you have to be insane. Many a night, I mean, years, I didn't go outside. Like I didn't, damn near, you know, with the exception of going to the store at, 4 a.m. But it's like I've sacrificed and jeopardized personal relationships with family, and almost an unhealthy way. All I would do was obsess and consume myself by music and rapping and writing and lyrics, and I mean all the way down to the human anatomy of how our bodies work so that I could better write punchlines and understand what the word intravenous means at like 14. Like I missed out on a lot. You know what I mean? Not like Neverland Ranch, Michael Jackson a lot. Like I still had a childhood, but like, dude, I missed out on a lot. But I
But now
wouldn't
you're
have it
doing
any
things
other
that
way.
other people couldn't dream of doing. So there's always trade-offs and opportunity costs.
Agreed. So yeah, if you're gonna do it like a psychopath, whatever it is, and don't like if you're, because it's not even about your dream, right? I mean, even financially, it's like if you want to make high risk investments, if you wanted this, if you want, like, you better study it, like know it. And I know my predecessors, and I know my predecessors in music, and I've been doing this for 17 years, and over the span of the last, I'd say 13 to 14 years, only then did I kind of branch off now into film, just studying film before I even dipped a toe in. That's another important thing. I always hate, I more power to people, but you be in somebody's bio and they're like, I'm this slash a dancer slash blah slash this slash that. And it's like, that's cool that you can do those things, but I don't know how well you can do all of them. So it's kind of like focus on this one thing, truly master that craft before moving on to the next. I think that's important.
And that's such a proven strategy, not just for artists, but for companies. I mean, Nike didn't start off by making t-shirts, shoes, shorts, and whatever else, right? Athletic equipment wise. They start off with shoes and they nailed shoes. They were successful, so they branched out. And I think any good company puts all of their effort into one thing and then branches out because they're making enough money on that one thing and they build enough brand in that one thing so that if they want to sell a t-shirt, it's easier. And people are aware of that type of quality and promise to the customer. So I do agree with that. That's good for all sorts of brands, people, and companies as well. So that's great advice. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.